tutorial on how to create a animated head turn lip sync using After Effects and UNOMi 2D lip sync software. So I've already created my PNG sequence lip syncs using UNOMi's software, and I've exported those as PNG sequences and imported them into my library here. I've also imported my animation as a PNG sequence, and I've got my audio in the main comp. So I'm just going to play that animation and the audio so you can see it without a lip sync.
And you thought my idea was silly. I guess you were wrong after all.
So you can see just something really quick and easy for the tutorial. And first what you're going to do is you're going to import your PNG sequences of your lip syncs. So you can do that by going File, Import, File, and you're just going to navigate to where your lip syncs are. For instance, if I was going to import this one, I would go to the PNG number 1, PNG sequence open. It's going to import that one, and then make sure that it's importing at the correct frame rate. So you can see this one's imported at 24 because my preferences for After Effects are to import at 24. We just want to make sure that's 25. And you can see that by checking your frame rate here in the library. So we just want to double check that the rest of our mouth sets that I've imported are at 25 frames per second. The animation's at 25 frames per second. Yep, so everything's at 25 frames per second. And we can check our composition. It says down here 25 frames per second, which is perfect. Everything is at the same frame rate. So what we can do is drag our first mouth set in, which is this side view.
The idea was silly. I guess you were wrong after all.
Perfect. All right, so using our side view, we're going to just shrink this down for the moment. Oops, so that it matches the size of our character's head, just like that. And that looks like it matches up pretty well. And we're just going to move the anchor point for this mouth set. We're going to move that anchor point to near the nose, just so that we can, when we have to go in later and keyframe the rotation, it's rotating from one central point. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our animation here, and we're going to track a part of the character to attach our mouth to. So luckily my character has a little pink nose I can track so that the mouth is always in the same position as the nose. So we're going to go track motion, and we're going to make sure that our animation is selected. We're going to track position, and if you really wanted to, you could track rotation too. So I might track rotation by going position, rotation. It's giving me 2 tracking points here. And I'm going to make sure the options are set to RGB because we're going to track the pink nose. And we want to enhance before match and make sure that it is having the adapt feature on. I just changed it to if confidence is below 44%. This just means that if it's having to think about the pixel that it's looking at, if it says that it's not confident that pixel is the same as the ones we want to track, it's just going to adapt. So what this might mean is that we might have to go in and manually fix up where our tracking points are on occasion, which is perfectly normal. That's something that you will find you have to do anyway when you're tracking, as long as it's tracking majority of what we want. So here we go. We're just gonna make that second one nice and big. And tracking point number 2, which will help us with our rotation, we're just gonna stick on the very end of this black line right here, just like that. Okay, so now we're just gonna go and we're going to let it think. So you can see already it's lost the tracking points. We're gonna have to go back to where it last had them, right here. And realistically, all we really need for this mouth set is the tracking points for the side views. So what we're gonna do is actually just skip over the middle part and wait for it to get back to the side view just here. And we're gonna reattach that first tracking point to the nose. and that second tracking point to the chin. And you're just going to go through and adjust the tracking where you need to so that it is tracking the right thing. So we can see here that it's at some point it jumped onto the collar. I'll go in and fix that up. There we go. All right, so we have our tracking points all set up, and we're going to set our target, which is going to be side view. Press OK. We're going to press apply, X and Y, OK, and it's going to apply that to our target. Now we can see that it's trying to rotate it with the head as it needs to, and it's doing a pretty good job, but obviously we don't want our mouth to start out like that. So all we're going to do is we're going to add a transform effect, just by going effect, distort, and transform, and we're just going to rotate that mouth, and we might just reposition it. Oops. There we go. And now if we watch it, we can see that it is pretty synced up. Obviously we lose tracking around here, which is fine, because that's all front and a 3/4 view. And then when we get back to our side view, we can see it's flipped upside down, but that's quite all right. What we're going to do is split this layer into 2 side views. So right when it switches to 3/4, I'm just going to press Command Shift D. It's going to split that layer and go to the next point where it turns right here. Press Command Shift D again, and we can delete this middle one. Now using our transform node, we can rotate this again, layer, transform, and we're going to flip horizontal, just like that, and it should be syncing the rotation to our head how we want it. That looks great, so I'm going to zoom out so you can see how that looks with the lip sync.
And you thought my idea was silly. I guess you were wrong after all.
Obviously that looks like it's still a little bit off, and we can just go in and tweak that where it needs to be tweaked. So something like that probably will work better. And that's pretty good for our side view sync. And now, using a similar technique, we can create another tracking point for our front and 3/4 views. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our front view first. We're going to click and drag that into the comp. We're just going to line that up with the lip sync. Just re-import that front view. That's much better. And we're just going to make sure that that is on 25 frames per second. Perfect. Alrighty, so we have our front view here. We're just going to rename that front and bring that one in. Sync it up, and we can see here that we are going to need a front view from here until this frame here, and we can tell because we can see the head changing angles. So that's the front view, so the chin is center, and then that's 3/4 view because we have the eyes on the side. So we have our front view here, and we have our front view mouth. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pick a frame, and we're going to shrink our mouth. And we're going to check our other lip syncs for mouth size to make sure that it feels like it's the right size. And what we're going to do is, once again, we're going to track our animation. So we're going to go track motion. This one is going to be track 2 now, using the same tracker. motion source, we can create multiple trackers. So track 1 was for our side view, tracker 2 is for our front view, and we only really need 1 tracker for this one. You can do 2 trackers if you really want, just so that you're getting that rotation as well. And what I might do is I might track rotation as well. I'm just going to attach that to the chin, like so. Just like that. We're going to track it from here. I'm just going to go frame by frame to track. You can see that it is having a bit of a hard time with the chin. It's okay, we can go in and touch that up. And obviously there are things you can do to create an easier tracking experience. Stuff like using a tracking mask layer, just to get that tracking data, and then turning that mask layer off. But that is all good because we have got all the tracking data we need. So what we can do is once again change our target, make sure it's selected to front, press OK, and we're going to apply that to our front mouth. And you can see there that it is tracking rotation. Once again, it's looking a bit funny. That's all good. We're going to go layer, effect, distort, transform. Once again, we're going to transform this layer so that it is sitting where we want it to sit. Not a huge deal. It's got most of the rotation down. We can just go in by hand and change whatever needs changing. But you can see here now what our animation looks like with our side and our front mouth sets put on.
And you thought my idea was silly. I guess you were wrong after all.
There we go. And then obviously last one is our 3/4 view, which we can just bring in like this. And what we're actually going to do is attach it to we're going to create another new tracker for our 3/4 view, and we're just going to use 3/4 view in all the empty spots now. So right there, and right there. Oops. There we go. So once again, we're going to resize the mouth. And we might rotate this one just a tad. And we're going to create another tracking point, this time just on the nose. We just need the nose, just for the sections where we have a side view face. Like so. And there we are. We're going to go edit target. We're going to select 3/4, press OK, press apply, OK. And then you'll see it's picked our first 3/4 layer. And we're just going to use the pick whip to our tracked layer. What that's going to do is it's going to track the second layer to the same tracking points, which helps us. And we're just going to give this layer a transform effect as well. just to bring it down. Same with our second layer here. And we're also going to flip this layer, just like we did the other ones. And we should now have a full head turn animation and lip sync.
And you thought my idea was silly. I guess you were wrong after all.
There you go. That's how you use UNOMi 2D lip sync to create multiple mouth sets, which you can then use in After Effects to create an animated head turn with a lip sync.